Germany says our family shouldn't exist, not legally. According to German law, the woman who gives birth is always the mother. Surrogacy, completely banned. And yet our son has a German passport and we're both recognized as his parents. So which one is it? Because right now, both things are true at the same time. And that's exactly where things get complicated. Hi, I'm Robert. I'm American, living in Bavaria with my husband Martin, and our son who was born through surrogacy in California. And over the past months, we've had to navigate something that honestly surprised us. Not just paperwork, but a system that kind of contradicts itself. Because German family law is very clear on paper, but in reality, it suddenly becomes flexible. And today, I want to show you exactly why. Not as a legal lecture, but as a real story of what happens when law meets modern families. So let's start with the basics, because Germany actually has a very clear position on this. Surrogacy is prohibited. Not discouraged, not restricted, prohibited. The law behind it, the Embryo Protection Act, makes it illegal for doctors or agencies to support surrogacy arrangements. And I remember when we first really understood that, it honestly felt like a door slamming in our faces, because it meant that in Germany, there was simply no path for us to become parents this way. And the reasoning isn't random. Germany is trying to protect women from exploitation, trying to prevent a system where pregnancy becomes something you can buy. That's the intention. But the consequence is also very clear. If you are a couple in Germany who needs surrogacy, there is no legal path. None. And then there's the second rule. And this is one even more important. Section 1591 of the German Civil Code. One sentence. The mother of a child is a woman that gives birth to it. That's it. No exceptions, no contracts, no pre-birth orders. From a German perspective, biology doesn't matter as much as the birth itself. So if a surrogate gives birth, she is the legal mother, always. And this is where exactly our story starts to break the system. Because our son wasn't born in Germany. He was born in California. And California does things very differently. In the US, surrogacy can be fully legal. You can have something called a pre-birth order, which means that before the baby is even born, a court decides who the legal parents are. In our case, both of us were recognized as parents before our son was born. We're on the birth certificate from day one. So now we have two realities. In the US, we are clearly legally the parents. In Germany, the law says the person who gave birth is the mother, which would obviously not be us. So what happens when these two systems collide? Does Germany say, we don't accept this? Or does Germany say, okay, we'll recognize it? And this is where the story changes completely. Because Germany's highest court, the Bundesgerichtshof, had to answer exactly this question. And what they decided is honestly surprising. They said that even if surrogacy is illegal in Germany, a foreign court decision about parenthood can still be recognized here. Even for same-sex couples. Even in surrogacy cases. And the reason is actually very powerful. It's not about the parents, it's about the child. The court basically said that if a child already has legally established parents in another country, Germany cannot just take that away because that would harm the child. It would create instability, and that goes against a child's fundamental rights. So suddenly we have this paradox. Germany rejects surrogacy, but accepts the outcomes of it. And that's a moment where the system kind of bends, and this is the part nobody really prepares you for. Because now you would think, okay, problem solved, there's a court ruling, everything is clear. But in reality, that's where the confusion actually starts. Because the law might be clear at the top, but the system isn't always clear at the bottom. When you walk into a Standesamt, a registry office, and I still remember us standing outside before going in, you're not talking to the Bundesgerichtshof, you're talking to a person who may or may not have seen a case like yours before. In our case, they never had. And that leads to a very different experience. Some offices look at your documents and say, yes, we know this, no problem. Others look at the exact same documents and say, we're not sure this is valid. And that's unfortunately, honestly, what we experienced. We walked in with basically the strongest case you can have. We had the pre-birth order, we had an apostille of it, we had the official translations, we even had a document talking about the genetic connection, everything neatly organized in a folder, of course, and still there was hesitation. Questions like, are we allowed to accept this? Do we need a court decision in Germany? What do we do with the surrogate? How do we handle her? They said they needed more time. And in that moment, you realize something important. The challenge isn't always the law. It's whether people feel confident applying it. And this is where people get completely different advice online, because there isn't just one path. There's actually two. What I would call the lucky path and the lawyer path. The lucky path means you go directly to the registry office and you submit everything and they say, yes, we know this, no problem, you're done. Or there could be some back and forth, I don't know, but it works out. The lawyer path means you go through the family court, through formal recognition processes, sometimes with a lawyer, more time, more structure, and at the end of the day, only more costs. And both paths are valid. That's why one person tells you you don't need a lawyer and the other person says you absolutely need one. We've heard both things from other gay fathers in Germany because they took completely different routes through the same system. And this is where the story becomes bigger than just us. This isn't only about surrogacy. This affects international families, same-sex couples, IVF with donors, adoptions across borders, basically anyone whose family doesn't fit into the classic model that German law was originally built for. And that's the real issue. The world has changed faster than the legal framework. So what does German law say about our family? Honestly, two different things at the same time. It says this shouldn't exist at the same time, and we have to protect it. And we're living right in the middle of that contradiction. If there's one thing that we've learned, it's this. The law isn't always the biggest obstacle. Sometimes it's the gap between the law and how it's understood. And I'm really curious, which part of the German system has been your endgame or Endgegner? Was it the paperwork or was it the person behind the desk? Let me know in the comments. I read all of them and would love to respond. And if this has helped you understand the system a bit better, please subscribe because we're documenting this whole journey, not just the emotional side, but everything that comes with it. See you next time.